And so what we call that is starting from the top, right? Is where a generation of people who, and again, um, keep in mind, I want you to just keep in mind this for a minute. Slavery was horrible. Owning someone as a slave and with brutality, the brutality of slavery was horrible. And I mean, you got to understand, taking slaves from Africa, bringing them to the Caribbean to be seasoned, and then taking them to the U.S. to work, that takes skill. And so not only that, it takes brutality to keep a populace, a generation, a race of people in servitude for a long time. That takes skill. So the sickness and the deformation of how bad slavery was, and then turn it around and give the slave masters who implemented that brutality financial gain. Yeah. That's a conundrum, and for them to benefit it to this day, it's a sickness that cannot be undone. Dr. Darrell, you want to chime in? I see like you're looking.
Well, good afternoon to everyone. Just listening to a few things here. Am I coming through okay?
Yes.
Okay, the mortgage industry. Yeah, I was a victim to that, where my house was appraised and it was several $1,000s less. And I went to the appraiser and I said, sir, this house and 2 doors down are the same exact house. You appraise that house for this value. I have a few more assets in my home and upgrades my home to make it worth that. How did you come to that? He didn't give me a real answer. It was out of his frustration and said, this is what it is. So I just took the paperwork and gave it back to him and told him, well, I'm not paying you for something that's going to devalue me, and I'm going to pay for you devaluing me. So I went to a real appraiser and got it appraised the way it should have been. But yeah, that's a real issue there. And then you mentioned that as a Black culture, we gain things only to know that we're going to lose it. Now, I'm thinking, I hope I'm restating this correctly. If I'm not, please correct me. My thing is, if our perspective on things will be of such, then we're never, if we think that we're going to engage in whatever it is we're doing only to lose that gain, then what I'm trying to say is if we change our perception, then we change our perspective, excuse me. Yeah, and our perspective would be different. So our perception of who we are, and what we can achieve needs to be changed so that we can go to the next level. Where I am in all that I've done and achieved, and you've been in the military just as myself, I remember I had a captain who told me once what I can achieve and what I will be in life. And that was only because he comes from a racist place, a racist heart, and he wanted to keep me down. And I saw a lot of Blacks in the military with me who fell prey to that, subject to that. And I would just say, you don't need that. I don't know if it's because I come from California and I met a lot of guys who were from Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia's, and in the military with me. And that thinking was ingrained in them. It was embedded in them. And they would say, no, we can't do that. And I would think to myself, I've never experienced where I could not do. And they were the ones experiencing what they couldn't do, and they lived it out. But you're familiar with the term Article 15, Samir.
Yeah.
I had 4 of those things because they considered me a rebel, and I chose not to be a conformist, and I was not going to conform with that. So they found little things to cite me and give me an Articles 15s. This was, I was 101st Airborne. I left from there, went overseas, and then, you know, all went well for me. But it's, I think if we allow ourselves to be captured by that thinking, we're never going to progress. We're never going to progress. And we can open doors and be just as, you know, just as successful. And, you know, back years ago with Black Wall Street in Oklahoma and all the other things, if they came in with weaponry and all the destructive ways. But at this point, that type of behavior is no longer there. That physical violence is no longer there. Now it's more or less the mental uh, pursuit that's capturing a lot of Blacks to tell us that what we can and we cannot do. And even in my day, my profession now, you know, I still encounter that, but none of that. It's like those fiery darts of Satan. They may bounce off me, but they never stick to me. And I don't allow that to stick to me, because it's important that we, as successful Black men and women, you know, be an example for those who may, you know, endure struggles and trying to figure out what should we do and how should we do it. So that's just my basic introduction there to what I'm hearing tonight.